guys, Jeff McBride here, MLS Listings Customer Experience Manager, filling in for Dave Scalora. Today we're going to talk to Michael Lucarelli from Rentspree. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Great, we're excited to have you. Today we're talking about our latest subscriber offering, which is Rentspree. So let's jump in.
Yeah, so I think the whole reason behind why we started Rentspree back around 2016 is because I ended up getting my real estate license, and in the course of doing that, just started seeing how a lot of other agents and realtors in the state, they would have just such a compelling need to handle rentals, whether, hey, it might be a newer agent that's working with renters to kind of get their business started, or even some more experienced agents might have the need to work with rentals because, let's say, you helped an investor to buy an income property, and once the sale goes through, then hey, like now you need to rent that property out. And so there were just all kinds of compelling reasons for agents to work with rentals, but I kept hearing the same kind of common issue or pain point with those rentals, which basically revolved around the time that it took to close that rental transaction. And so I saw that disconnect there, and we thought, like, why do these rental transactions need to take so long? Can we streamline the rental process for agents and therefore make this a much more viable and pain-free way that they can kind of get their business done? And just looking at what people were doing, I mean, a lot of it was just paper-based. So filling out rental applications by hand, and renters don't want to do that either. So when you have a renter start filling it, you have to have them fill out something by hand. It's illegible, it's missing information. Then where do you get a credit check done? So I saw a lot of agents were basically going and trying to ask for screenshots of credit checks and stuff like that. So just saw a lot of that stuff, and it just ended up taking days for these transactions to get done. You don't get a whole lot from it in commission, generally speaking. So that's kind of where Rentspree started to streamline that process.
Yeah, and in that rent business, transactions are key, multiple transactions. So if one is taking too long, it's just going to kill your bottom line there.
Yeah, that's correct. So the idea with Rentspree is that by taking the transaction time from days and compressing it down to something that could take hours, now, hey, that's a lot more that helps your ROI and makes it really something a lot more worthwhile than it previously was. And the other thing too that we think about as well is that for every rental that an agent works with, you might come into contact with, let's say 10 or 15 or 20 renters as part of that transaction. And yeah, you only end up renting it out to maybe 2 or 3, but all the other renters that you come into contact with while you're working with that rental, I like to share that those are actually just possible future first-time home buyers. So it's a good opportunity also to hey, you can build your sphere of influence, have some relationships, create your network of these individuals that for a lot of them, you might be one of the only agents that they know. So you can be an asset to them if you do it right and do it professionally.
Talk about lead generation, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, with Rentspree, I mean, one of the things that we're most excited about is with the MLS integration here that we have. So integrating into MLS listings, that's something where we just rolled it out. It was earlier this month in May. And basically, it makes it really easy when agents are working with rental listings that they can basically opt in for screening directly within the MLS, and we automatically set up the online screening page for that particular listing. And so it's set up with everything from an online rental application that the applicants can fill out online. We automatically generate a credit check, a background check, and eviction history report. And then all of this comes back to the agent, really a full screening package at no cost to the agent.
I think that's super cool because then you also have a record of all those applicants as well that's saved in one central location.
Yeah, so that is a great point in Rentspree. Every time applicants come through the system, they'll be in the Rentspree dashboard. It's a nice kind of renter or applicant tracking software as well. So yeah, you'll have records of all the applicants there, and you'll see all their information there. And to kind of walk through also how it'll work too. So once the applicants apply, all the reports that are needed to make a decision, they're pretty much generated instantaneously, which is just a huge time saver. You don't have to wait for reports to come back or wait for any results. And that even works like at nights and on weekends. So the results come back right away. You get everything back and you can either print it out or save everything if needed as well to your computer to use that.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a really nice tool for the landlord as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like oftentimes, I guess that, with these rental transactions, the agent's typically not the one making the end decision, especially like the agents representing the landlord. It's really the landlord's property. So they're typically making the final call. So one of the other nice things about this process is that we allow when an agent screens an applicant, normally they would typically print out the reports or save them and then email them to the landlord through possibly unsecured email. And as we know, there's some sensitive information that comes back on the screening reports.
Right.
But with Rentspree, you don't have to download those reports at all or on your system. You can actually share them or grant access for a landlord to view those reports directly on Rentspree without them having to like send something through unsecured email or maintain some of this more sensitive data on their system. So that's definitely a nice aspect there that like the landlord can kind of come and see those reports and then correspond about, okay, this person looks good, or oh, this person doesn't meet my criteria, etc.
Very nice. That seems very streamlined. So Michael, what are the benefits that the renter is going to receive from your product?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of benefits that Rentspree provides, and like it's really important for agents to kind of think about the consumer or renter experience, because as we kind of touched upon just a little bit earlier, the renter of today is really just a possible buyer for tomorrow. So making a good first impression is really key, and Rentspree tries to really emphasize the renter experience as well. So when a renter is requested to apply through Rentspree, first of all, it's never going to ding their credit or leave an inquiry on their credit report. So that helps to actually preserve the applicant's kind of like financial integrity, because it's not damaging their score, which like when an applicant has a hard inquiry, it can actually damage their credit score by up to 5 points. So that's definitely really, really nice. Secondarily, like, for renters too, some of them expect a little bit more digital experiences.
Right.
And so with Rentspree, like it's all completely mobile responsive. So when applicants go onto Rentspree to fill out their reports, everything is 100% mobile responsive. So it makes it really easy for them to kind of walk through that process of filling out their application, authorizing their screening reports. And even today, more than 50% of renters on Rentspree apply using a mobile device. And so applicants remember those type of things, especially when everything else that they're usually being asked to do might be something like pretty manual. And you'll really stand out as an agent when you're able to provide a digital process for applicants. And then finally, one of the last things that renters love about Rentspree is that if a renter applies first on Rentspree, they'll actually be able to submit their reports to multiple other properties within 30 days at no additional cost, without having to refill any information and without having to get another credit check done. So typically, we know that applicants need to apply to between 2 to 3 properties on average before they get accepted. So this makes it easy. They don't have to pay those fees over and over again. They don't have to refill the same information over and over again and get those credit checks done again and again. So it really like centralizes all of that. And that ultimately positions the agent who's working with them as just a hero for them across the board.
Sure. If I were applying, I'd want to stay with the same person so that, they'd have all my information and I didn't have to redo any forms or pay any other fees, because the fees out here can get very expensive very quickly just to apply.
Yep, definitely like a huge like savings there. Like I think like the max right now that you can charge is about like $52 and change. And so even there too, like with Rentspree, the screening fee, it's only $30 as well. So it's well below that. It tends to be a little bit on the lower end as well. And that's not even to mention the fact that that applicant will only ever pay one screening fee on Rentspree as well. So those are definitely like a ton of nice benefits to offer.
So one of the things we've seen in our MLS is we've seen a few rental scams. So Rentspree really seems like it's kind of safeguarding the user from those scams as well.
Yeah, and I think that goes both ways, just with like everything that's been going on with just people a little bit less able to meet people in person. It's just opened up a lot more doors from that perspective. And so one of the things that we also have built into our process is that we automatically verify the identity of every applicant who goes through our system and applies. And so we do that basically for applicants so that if you're an applicant and maybe you know you don't have great credit and you want to use your friends instead, if you try to do that on Rentspree, we're going to ask you knowledge-based questions that are tied to the social security number that you're using. So if you're using like your friends because you have a bad credit score, you actually won't be able to apply because you won't be able to answer those questions correctly. So every applicant that applies on Rentspree, you pretty much know exactly who the person is that you're renting out to. So that's definitely a nice element that helps to reduce risk on the agent side who's doing the screening, and you know that you're getting accurate information and that the information belongs to the applicant who's actually applying.
So Michael, what are some of the strategies agents can use to tailor their outreach to renter applicants?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the most overlooked elements for agents when they work with rentals is that oftentimes you might have a good idea when that lease might be coming up for that applicant because you likely helped to get the lease signed. And so just keeping in mind this just really simple piece of information for applicants that can help you inform when you might want to check in with that applicant and see, hey, like maybe they need to find a new rental property because their lease is coming up soon. Or maybe it could be a good time for that applicant to think about purchasing a home. So it's giving you a really good idea of when that applicant is likely to make a next housing change. And then you can kind of position yourself to help with whatever direction the applicant wants to go into.
Hey, Michael, as a customer experience manager, where else can we find more information about Rentspree? So we have a very nice article on our pro support community channel. And I guess other than that, where else can they find information?
Yeah, so what I would say is the first place where you want to look for Rentspree is number one in listing management. So as you're going into listing management, you'll see you can opt in for Rentspree for a listing, which will basically set up your online screening page. You'll be able to get applicants screened, and applicants, just to remind you all, they'll pay $30 one time to apply on Rentspree. And this tool is actually available at no cost to members. So that's probably the best place where you can access more information and use the tool. However, in addition to that, if you're looking for some more information, members can go to rentspree.com/MLS listings. And on our webpage, there's some more information. There's tutorials, there's videos, there's some contact information there. You can even schedule a demo to get some interaction and training from someone on the Rentspree side, just if there's any issues with Rentspree's or any trouble with Rentspree's product. So that's a good spot. And then on top of that as well, hey, we love to hear from members, so they can always reach out to us directly at 323-515-7757 anytime, and we're happy to help.
Great. We always love the feedback ourselves. So thank you for coming on board today. And any parting words you have for us?
No, I just thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And yeah, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Make sure to check out our pro support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.